Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and compare the iPhone 15 Pro and compare it against the iPhone 13 Pro Max and see which specific iPhone is the better one for you. Now, I will definitely tell you, if you have all the money in the world, just go for the iPhone 15 Pro Max. I think that would be the far better one to pick up. But I think the 15 Pro is still very good for the price. I mean, of course, it's the brand new iPhone. The 13 Pro Max, though, still has a lot of features up its sleeve. It's a little bit cheaper than the 15 Pro in the used market. So that's still a very solid iPhone to pick up as well. So if you're in the market, links will be down in the description to pick these up. You can pick them up from there, and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these iPhones, on the front, the iPhone 13 Pro Max, which came out in 2021 on the front, has a 6.7-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. It is a very, very good panel. I've always loved this panel since the first day it came out. I still use my iPhone 13 Pro, and that still has an exceptional panel on it, and the 13 Pro Max is no different. It's a bigger panel than the 15 Pro, so you're getting a very big panel with a very high resolution. You are getting that notch, which seems a little bit outdated compared to the 15 Pro's dynamic island, but it's still very good for the most part. Thin bezels around the display, very good feeling phone, like still feels very expensive. And the front definitely gets a thumbs up for me. With the iPhone 15 Pro, this is a smaller 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. So it's a little bit smaller, so that is one big advantage. If some people prefer a smaller, bigger phone, you can kind of choose from there. Still have that dynamic island on this phone as well, which again is a really nice touch. Having that dynamic island is very cool, and that is something that I prefer when I'm getting a phone like the 15 Pro. I want it to basically have, a good phone in the hand. I'm not really the biggest fan of big phones anymore like I used to be, but still, if you can choose whichever one you want to. But I love the 15 Pro on the front, and I think that one definitely looks better on the front than the 13 Pro Max for sure. On the sides, you're getting like this almost like curved side to the 15 Pro. It's not completely curved, it's mostly flat, but the top and bottom are kind of curved a little bit, which feel very nice. The 13 Pro Max is completely flat, and it also has this like reflective material on the outside of the 13 Pro Max as well, which is very, very nice. On top of that, you're getting a Lightning port on the 13 Pro Max, whereas on the 15 Pro, you were getting USB Type-C. This is a very, very cool thing because we now have USB-C on our iPhone 15s, which are amazing. And that again is a really cool feature to have. You can unlock so much potential with this, and Apple just needs to kind of improve USB-C on iPhones in general, but that's still a super nice thing to have. And I'm a massive, massive fan of having USB-C on an iPhone, but I still think for the time being, Lightning is still perfectly fine. You're really not missing out on too much there. And I definitely do think with the 13 Pro Max, you're perfectly fine here. On the back, another thing, you're getting a SIM card tray on the 13 Pro Max. The 15 Pro does not have a SIM card tray, so keep that in mind. On the back of both these, you're getting frosted glass backs, which look and feel amazing. I'm so happy anytime I get a frosted glass back on these types of devices, and they definitely feel very good. I don't think there's one that feels like exceptionally better than the other one. They're both kind of in the same realm here, but I definitely would say that the 13 Pro Max still feels very, very good. The triple camera setups on both look great. LiDAR sensor is amazing. MagSafe capability on the back, wireless charging, IP certification. Lots and lots of overlap here. But some takeaways, the 13 Pro Max, I think the bigger phone here, it looks better in some ways. It feels more expensive, and you're definitely getting, I think, better color selection on the 13 Pro Max than the 15 Pro. But the 15 Pro, with it being a smaller phone, with it still looking and feeling very good, with it having basically, a lot of colors you can choose from on that specific device as well. Lots and lots of good stuff for the 15 Pro as well. So there's not really, like I said, one that's like exceptionally way better than the other one, but that's kind of how I see both these devices from that specific perspective. Now in the camera department, there's a little bit of a difference here as well. So with the 13 Pro Max, you're basically getting all 12 megapixel sensors. You're getting a wide, ultra-wide and telephoto lens. With the 15 Pro, you're getting a 48 megapixel wide-angle lens. Then you're getting the ultra-wide and telephoto lenses there too. So you're definitely getting, I would argue, a better camera setup for sure on the iPhone 15 Pro than on the iPhone 13 Pro Max. You have the same type of zooming in, zooming out capability. You have 4K at 60 on the front and the back. And there really isn't, like I said, a reason why the 13 Pro Max should be better here. Maybe the only thing you could say is maybe the sensors, because the viewfinder is bigger, then maybe it has an advantage. I wouldn't even go as far to say that. You're definitely getting overall better sensors on the iPhone 15 Pro, on the iPhone 13 Pro Max. But the 13 Pro Max camera is still very good. I still feel like the 13 Pro Max camera is very solid for what you're getting. And like I've said before, I've always had a great time with that specific phone, and I haven't really had too much to complain about from that perspective either. So I definitely would say between both devices, you were getting a very solid phone between both, but definitely the 15 Pro is the better camera here for sure. Now, in terms of software and longevity, this is another kind of interesting thing too, because between both devices, you are definitely, in my opinion, getting the overall better, software long-lasting phone on the 15 Pro over the 13 Pro Max. And that's exactly what happens year after year after year. You'd expect the newer phone to basically have that, capability. With the 13 Pro Max, I would probably say that this iPhone is going to last probably 2 years less than the iPhone 15 Pro. So keep that in mind. If you're wanting the longest lasting phone between both of these, the longer lasting one is pretty much going to be the iPhone 15 Pro in essentially every single area. So keep that in the back of your head. But I look at something like the iPhone 15 Pro as still being probably one of the better phones out there. But the 13 Pro Max is still a very, good phone. It's still going to be lasting a long amount of time too. But that's kind of how I see both these phones from that specific perspective. Now, in terms of the performance side of things, this is also a slight difference. The iPhone 13 Pro Max has that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 6GB of RAM, where the iPhone 15 Pro has that Apple A17 Pro chip inside of it with 8GB of RAM. So I will definitely tell you from that specific perspective, the iPhone 15 Pro is going to be overall the better performing phone from that situation. However, I still truly do feel like that with the iPhone 13 Pro Max, you are getting a very, very good performing phone from that specific perspective. With the iPhone 13 Pro Max, you're still getting a good phone that has a lot of capability, that has lots and lots of features. And no matter what you're going to do with it, games, applications, really anything across the board, you are going to be having a very solid time with it. And that's something that I look at as being a pretty solid performing device. I truly do feel like the 13 Pro Max is still up there. It's still going to be very solid, and there's not a lot to complain about there. With the iPhone 15 Pro, I think this is definitely the better performing phone. Of course, we're having weird issues right now, but over time it's going to get better and better. And with the iPhone 15 Pro, this is a device that's going to have lots and lots of capability. It's going to have lots of features. It's just going to be a phone that's going to be faster than the iPhone 13 Pro Max. I can sit here and tell you all the little it's going to be X% faster than this application and this. But from real world use, I don't know if you're going to be able to tell that big of a difference. But I do say that over time, the 15 Pro is going to be the faster performing phone 1 or 2 years from now, especially when you start installing the next version of iOS, like iOS 18, 19. You're going to start noticing the bigger differences there. But as of right now, there's still a lot of overlap and a lot of similarity. The 13 Pro Max is still a very fast phone, and the 15 Pro is just a little bit, it's faster, but I don't think I would go and upgrade because of the performance. In terms of battery life, the 13 Pro Max, brand new, is still actually stated to be being the better battery life here. 28 hours of video playback on that, over 23 hours on the iPhone 15 Pro. And that would probably make the argument that because the 13 Pro Max had such a big battery when it first came out, it is definitely the better phone here in almost every single way. I think the 15 Pro is still a very solid phone for sure, but the 13 Pro Max probably has the better battery life. So to kind of sum up this whole entire video, what I'll definitely tell you is I look at a phone like the 13 Pro Max, and this is definitely, I would argue, probably a better deal in some ways. You are probably getting a better iPhone, a better priced iPhone on the 13 Pro Max over the iPhone 15 Pro. And that's just kind of what happens. When you're getting the latest generation of devices, I would definitely say that, it's going to be more expensive and you're getting the better phone, but the older ones typically are better deals. I think the 15 Pro is the better phone though overall. From what I can see, you're definitely getting the better phone in almost every single way on the iPhone 15 Pro. So that is a very big thing to keep in mind. But if I had to choose one, I think I would probably go for the 15 Pro. I prefer that size, but the 13 Pro Max is still a very, very good phone. That's arguably a better deal in my opinion. So that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.